So, this is probably one of the most pleasant surprises of the summer. I don't think The End of Oak Street is one of my favorite movies of the year, but I did fairly enjoy the film. Now, it was good. It delivered an old school Amblin style family adventure while simultaneously being willing to make its dinosaurs genuinely scary again. We haven't had dinosaurs be this scary probably since Jurassic Park 1, but in my opinion, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park 3 are pretty damn terrifying. Like, if you want to be honest, it's very rare. Like, in the Jurassic World movies, I don't think there's a single time where I was legitimately scared of the dinosaurs. I feel like the dinosaurs just weren't particularly, like, there. And another thing I want to say is I do think that this movie is exactly what Jurassic World Dominion should have been, but like in a different, weird, more sci-fi than Jurassic Park. It was somehow more sci-fi because like the time travel stuff more so than anything else. But it's about a family, starring Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor. They have two kids. They live in the suburbs in 1982, and weird things happen around the neighborhood. Like a prehistoric plant shows up in a neighbor's yard. Some prehistoric stool shows up in a neighbor's yard. It's like white lights flash at night, and then the next day something happens, and then on the third night, a big flash happens, and their entire neighborhood is warped to like Jurassic era time. And it is so interestingly done that it's like I can kind of ignore the fact that it's never explained why it happens. But I do like the setting, and the fact that they did make practical sets for the suburban area for the houses and stuff gave it a very realistic feel. And obviously, the dinosaurs are, you know, digital affected in, but the dinosaurs look good. Like they look like how they've been saying dinosaurs have looked over recent years. Because remember in Jurassic Park 1, we didn't know at the time that dinosaurs had feathers like birds. And then we found out in the decade since then that dinosaurs did have feathers. When that's why the raptors have like little feathers on their heads and stuff like that in Jurassic Park 3. And then by the time we get to Jurassic World Dominion, dinosaurs just got feathers on them. You know what I'm saying? And this movie kind of went that route to give the dinosaurs a more displayed feeling of how they looked, even though we weren't really there to see what they really looked like. Now, The End of Oak Street, more unexpected summer movies, is it's literally just like enjoyable. If you ignore some of the writing, and it was written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, the filmmaker behind It Follows, and J.J. Abrams did produce it, and it is very well made. Like I did enjoy it. Like I genuinely thought the violence was really good. I thought the acting between Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor was like really good for this type of movie. Like the family dynamic and the family drama in this movie is honestly one of the best parts, and they acted out so well. There's a scene somewhere in the middle point, somewhere right before Act Three, where they get into an argument, and I'm like, yo, Anne Hathaway and they are like doing this for real. Like they're like really doing this. Okay, like they're actually taking this pretty seriously, and there's even certain points in the film where I was genuinely like, man, this actually kind of scared me a little bit. Even some of the audience in the movie theater like, oh my goodness, because yeah, it got a little bit intimidating. Like some stuff that happens in this movie will surprise you. And on paper, the premise sounds absolutely insane. But one of the reasons the movie works is because it plays that insanity surprisingly straight. And I think that's the thing about it that really works. And as I mentioned, that old school Amblin feeling is probably the biggest strength of the movie. There's something about it that feels like it could have come from an earlier era of blockbuster filming. Like this could have easily came out in the 80s. And you just have an ordinary suburban family thrown into an extraordinary situation, children caught up in an adventure far beyond their understanding, parents desperately trying to protect the family, the mystery, the science fiction, the humor, the danger, and the genuine wonder. Amblin feels all across the board, and that Spielberg Amblin influence isn't accidental. Contemporary reviews have similarly compared its sensibilities to Spielberg era adventure filmmaking, particularly Jurassic Park and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And it definitely did give me those vibes. Like I was like, dinosaurs give out Jurassic Park, and those white flashes and like what caused them to go back in time felt like Close Encounters a little bit. Like it did. Like whoever made this movie is clearly the guy, the David. He's clearly a huge fan of Spielberg movies. but it doesn't like imitate those films. It takes like that familiar atmosphere and makes it considerably meaner, which is crazy, right? And when I mentioned the dinosaurs getting scary again, I genuinely stand by that. I was genuinely like, yo, these dinosaurs are on some ish. And this is where like the horror background really came through from the director, because the dinosaurs aren't simply there so audiences can admire them. They're predators. They're trying to survive. They still got that instinct, and you're in their domain. They're not in yours. See, that's the thing I like most about this, is that instead of it bringing the dinosaurs to them and like why are dinosaurs just randomly in our neighborhood, it brought the neighborhood to the dinosaurs and why are you in their neighborhood? You know what I'm saying? What you doing up in here? We about to eat y'all niggas for real. That was like one of the coolest like plot points of the movie. And it did allow them to stalk the characters, suddenly emerge into otherwise familiar suburban environments, and cause real, actual destruction. And there's something inherently creepy about seeing prehistoric animals wandering around houses, yards, streets that look completely ordinary. It's just really creepy and cool. And importantly, the movie isn't afraid to show the consequences of actions. That is something that's really good. And the dinosaur violence can be surprisingly brutal for this kind of movie. Like other early audience reactions have specifically noted how much dinosaur and human carnage the movie gets away with, and they get away with a lot of it. Like I'm pretty sure by the end of the movie, the only people alive in the film is the family and like one other character. Like it's an entire township. I'm talking like hundreds of people get teleported to this place, and there's like five or six people left. That's how much they were able to get away with dinosaurs killing a bunch of people, kids included. You see dinosaurs chasing the children, bro. That is, it's madness, homie. It is. The danger makes the survival sequences work because you genuinely believe anybody can die at this point. Anybody. And like I said, it just works. Like I was giving you guys a little bit earlier, like Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor. There are major reasons the premise didn't collapse completely. They actually grounded. They're not like playing superheroes who suddenly know how to fight dinosaurs. They're parents. They're trying to keep their family together, and the laws governing their normal existence are no longer at play. They are in a lawless dog eat dog environment for real right now. And having two performers of their caliber, it really gave the emotional scenes that considerably, it gave it more credibility. Like I said, there's a scene where they both just really bring it, and they bring it the whole movie. Their performances are genuinely great, and and it's crazy. They actually have really good chemistry. They have some crazy good chemistry together. Now I think surprising should become a major part of this, because it could have just been Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor, some dinosaurs, 2 hours long, blah blah blah, whatever. It could have just been that blah, whatever the hell. But it's actually like there's this mystery surrounding what happened to Oak Street, the family drama, the horror, the science fiction, adventure, and some unexpectedly violent dinosaur encounters that unpredictably helps it tremendously. And the official premise deliberately keeps the explanation vague. The neighborhood is simply transported to someplace unknown, allowing the mystery of exactly what happened to become part of the experience. Now, I do, like I said, there are, now I'm getting into the part where, like, I think people would kind of agree. I do think some of the writing is relatively stupid, and I think a lot of things just happen as far as, like, what they need to do to kind of get out of the situation. It's not explained. Like the whole sci-fi part of it is just not explained. There's no explanation. There's no real reason why. And I don't want to give away the ending because I don't know how to feel about the ending, right? And it was much better than I expected, right? It gave you that classic movie atmosphere. It had two excellent leads. Dinosaur was terrifying. Wasn't afraid of the violence. And most importantly, it gave you something different. It's a pretty successful movie. It's why I'm giving it like a 7.5, because I don't really know how I feel about the ending. Because it, I don't want to spoil it. So I'm just going to say I don't really love the ending, but I love the journey to the ending. And I think when it was time to like wrap everything up, it wraps up in a way where I think there should have still been some consequences, at least on the strength of like how things kind of play out, if that makes any sense. But I do love that there's this revelation with Anne Hathaway's character, especially right before a big scene happens. And it is legitimately like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this just happened. So that's something I want you guys to keep in mind. And people who saw it seem to either really like it, or there are people who seem to really hate it. It didn't really reinvent the dinosaur movie, but it remembered that something modern dinosaur films forget: dinosaurs should inspire the wonder of seeing a dinosaur, but it should also scare the hell out of you. Like you should never want to run into a dinosaur in an alleyway in the suburbs or the city for that matter. You should never want to run into a dinosaur unless it's absolutely proven to be an herbivore that won't rip your head off as soon as it sees you. So you don't want to run into a raptor. You don't want to run into an allosaurus. You don't want to run into a T Rex. You don't want to run into a Spinosaurus. You don't want to run into none of those things. Like that's just what it is. And yeah, I think I'll land the plane there. I think it's one of those movies I think I want people to experience it, because you could either be missing out on a gem that you really like, or you could be seeing a movie that you don't like, but at least you got to experience it on your own without immediately going in to dislike it or like it. I personally think it's a pleasant surprise, but a 7.5 just based off some of the writing. And like I said, I don't really know how to feel about the ending. If I had more solid concrete on both of those things, I would give it like an 8. But 7.5 seems fair. So I'll leave it there. Let me know how you guys feel down below. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I will see you on the next one.